Starts right now. Garcia's left footed. It's time. We are live and amplified here at Teen Vision TV 16 for another edition of the Inland Sports Show. My name is Pep Fernandez. We appreciate you tuning in. Johnny Nunez behind the scenes directing tonight's show. It's going to be all high school football. We got a big quarterfinal round. A little bit later, we're going to hear from the Hemet Bulldogs. And in just a moment, we've got AB Miller head coach Andrew Amosa breaking down the Rebels quarterfinal game against San Bernardino, their league rival. We're going to have Coach Agno from Aquinas. Yes, the Falcons are out of the playoffs, but he loves high school football. He's going to help me break down the quarterfinal round. And we'll also hear from Chris Fowler, the head coach for the Patriot Warriors, as Patriot will take on Riverside Poly in Division 11. So a lot of high school football coming your way on tonight's show. But we were going to start off with some of the top games coming up in the quarterfinals, and we lead off with the Ken Sporting Goods must-see game. This is the granddaddy of them all. Murrieta Valley taking on the Kook. Rancho Cucamonga back in week 0, way back in week 0 on August 18th. Rancho Cucamonga held off Murrieta Valley. 29-27 was the final score in that game. So fast forward, 12 weeks later, they're going to see each other in the Division II quarterfinals. Rancho Cucamonga will be at home, and the Nighthawks looking to go on the road and try to advance to the semifinals in Division II. It's the Ken Sporting Goods must-see game this week. That's not the only big game. We've got some all-local games in the quarterfinals. We got some rivals going head-to-head. Let's take a look at some of the other top games coming up in the CIF Southern Section quarters. Let's start with Centennial in Division 1. The Huskies had a first-round bye in Division 1. Now they get Orange Lutheran in the quarterfinals. If they win that game, they would likely see St. John Bosco coming up in the semis. In Division 3, a couple of the Citrus Belt League schools. Citrus Valley will be at home against San Juan Hills. Cajon going back on the road to take on St. Bonaventure in Ventura. So Cajon went on the road and beat Pacifica in Oxnard last week in the first round. Now they're going back on the road to the same exact area to take on St. Bonnie. And if Cajon and Citrus Valley both win in the quarterfinals, the Cowboys would get a rematch against the Blackhawks in the D3 semifinals. That would be epic. But first things first, they got to win this week in the quarters. In Division 5, an all-local showdown. Orange Vista going on the road to San Jacinto. This is a huge game. Great coaches in Galliano at San Jacinto, Zomal at Orange Vista. And that is in Division 5, all local. Can't wait for that one. Division 10, another all-local game. Elsinore against Hemet. And we're going to hear from the Hemet Bulldogs in just a moment as they prepare to take on a very tough and well-coached Tigers team. Riverside Poly will make the short trip to Patriot High School. That game will be played at Rubidoux in the Division 11 quarterfinals. And we've got multiple teams, local teams in D11 trying to chase down that CIF championship. And finally, in Division 13, another all-local game. They're Mountain Valley League rivals. They're going to do it again. AB Miller at home against San Bernardino. The Rebels won the first game a couple weeks ago in league play, 28-14. They'll try to do it again to advance to the D13 semifinals. And we will hear from Rebels head coach Andrew Amosa a little bit later in the program. But right now, we do want to catch up with the Hemet Bulldogs. We had a chance to do a quick interview with them. Head coach Jeff Galloway talking about this Bulldogs team who has gotten better as the season has gone on. They beat Rancho Christian, a league rival, in that opening round game. Now they advance to the quarterfinals, taking on another local team, the Elsinore Tigers. Here's our interview with the Hemet Bulldogs.
Inland Sports. And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show. These guys are headed to the quarterfinals. It's the Hemet High School football team. Head coach Jeff Galloway and some of his studs joining us here on the show. And coach, before we get to your guys, what a season it's been for Hemet. Back-to-back league championships. Picked up a big win against Paloma Valley, who ended up being the Sun Belt League champion. When you look at the regular season, at least, what really stood out to you about this Bulldogs team this year?
Well, coming in, we thought we were going to be really good up front. And then we had some adversity hit us. We lost one of our linemen. And then in the middle of, right before we got into league, we lost another key D lineman who broke his ankle. So we pretty much revamped our whole offense and defensive line right as we came into league. So we were kind of scrambling. We were battle tested from last year because we returned so many kids. And I never gave up on our kids in their fight and their will to win and what they want to do and how much success they want to have for themselves and in this program.
This most previous game against Rancho Christian in the first round of the playoffs, do you feel like that was the best complete game that you guys have played this season? Was it against Paloma? Which game do you feel like was the best representation of the Bulldogs this year so far?
Oh, I mean, if you go back and look at Belmont, I can pick it all apart. So, there's always things that we need to improve on. But nothing sweeter than a first-round victory and beating a league opponent twice within 4 weeks. I mean, that's hard to beat a team twice, especially that close.
All right, Coach, introduce the guys behind you as well, because we want to talk to some Bulldogs here. Obviously, a big reason why you guys are in this spot.
Oh, yeah. We have Tanner Fye right here, number 32. He's one of our slot players and our middle linebacker. Number 3, Daniel Mendoza, our running back, outside linebacker. Number 19, Christopher Washington, receiver DB. Number 79, Nathaniel Fulbright, our left tackle.
Now, I think it was Chris who hit me up on YouTube, was like, man, that'd be nice to be on the show one day. So you all can thank Chris. You guys all need to buy him a donut or something. Well, Coach, let's just go right down the row and talk about what makes each of these guys special. And I want to hear from them as well about the season. But what makes these guys leaders, playmakers, star players? What makes these guys tick? What makes them run?
I think what makes all of them the same. I mean, I can't single them all out, right? Because they're collectively we're a team. So I think what makes it work for all of us is that they all understand and they've all bought into what we do as a Bulldog program and what we're all about. And they're in it 100% for the team, and they put the team and the program first above themselves. And then with that, they've just been able to excel. I mean, they understand the football, they understand the game, they understand the schemes and everything that we're doing, and they're out to prove that they're the best.
All right, this is a question for any of you guys. As good as you guys looked against Rancho Christian, and Coach just said he could probably pick that game apart, but as well as you guys played, do you feel like going into this Elsinore game that the best version of the Bulldogs is still to come? Do you feel like you guys can still look better on the field going forward? And this is for any of you guys.
We can always improve. There's never I don't think there's ever a best version of ourselves. I think only the future can tell, and I think be a better team.
Guys, going into this game against Elsinore in the quarterfinals, at least for us in our coverage area, this is an all local game. Elsinore is not that far apart from where you guys are at. How do you see this matchup? Obviously, when I think Elsinore, I think of they're going to run the football hard. They're always physical. They might not be the biggest team, but they play hard. Coach, this is for you and your guys. How do you kind of see this matchup with Elsinore playing out?
Well, I view it as like a big heavyweight fight, right? We're both going to come in swinging. We're both going to be hitting. And it's going to come down to, I think, who's going to be the most physical, the longest, and who makes less mistakes. Elsinore they're proven. They've been on a roll. They've scored a lot of points in the last 6 games. They're big. They're physical. What is it? Santano, their running back number 3, runs hard. 23, their other receiver, Urban. He's fast. He's a deep threat. Number 17, I think, Maxfield.
Yeah.
He's an all-around guy. He's quick. He's got some speed, and their wingback is huge. I mean, that kid is just, I mean, his size is unbelievable. But I think with them up front being as big as they are, they're going to cause us some problems and some issues. But it's going to come down to who's going to be the most physical, who can sustain it, and who's going to make the less mistakes.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have already been doing your homework here, dropping all the names of the Elsinore Tigers. You know your Tigers already.
Oh, yeah, we try to be prepared.
Well, let me ask the guys, what do you think is the key to victory on Friday night? How do you guys advance to the semifinals? What do you have to do well against this Elsinore team?
I think it's just being more physical. That's really all it is. They're a very physical team, like Coach said. So it's really just going to come down to me.
I mean, Daniel's coming off the game of his life against Rancho Christian, so of course he's feeling good about everything right now. Daniel, was that your best game ever, would you say?
His best game against Rancho was last year when he had 300 yards of offense against.
Oh, that's pretty good too then.
But I mean, it's great to see these guys grow, especially this part of the year, this part of the season. They're starting to come together even more so now, which is the time when we want to come together more as a team. And the best part is it's getting cooler. It's getting actually like football weather, so that's the best part, and we're on to the quarterfinals. So we're only guaranteed this one game, and we have to earn the next one.
Coach, you're absolutely right. Listen, thank you for making time for me. I really do appreciate it. I'm really excited about this Hemet versus Elsinore game. I think it's going to be one of the best games we have in our area. Super competitive, a lot of great players. So, guys, best of luck. Hope you have a great week of practice, and good luck against the Tigers on Friday night.
Thank you, Pep. Appreciate your time.
Inland Sports. All right, that's the Hemet Bulldogs. Big one against the Elsinore Tigers coming up. That was one of our top games coming up in the quarterfinals. All right, let's take a look back at the opening round just real quick as we salute our Inland Sports Week 11 All-Stars. First round playoff edition. We've got a Hemet Bulldog on the list. Daniel Mendoza, 256 on the ground and 3 touchdowns. Also caught a touchdown in that opening round win against Rancho Christian. I asked Daniel if that was the best game he's ever had. He said, no, actually, he had a better game against Rancho Christian last year, but those are still some amazing stats. Congrats, Daniel. Dorian Hose, running back for Murrieta Valley. The Nighthawks got a ton of offensive weapons. Hose went off in that big opening round win, 195 on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Ramona QB Jeremiah Acosta, man, through the air, on the ground, everything. 229 and 3 touchdowns. Passing, 109 rushing, and another touchdown in the Rams' big win against San G. Quarterback Jalen Patterson of San Jacinto, 135 rushing and 2 touchdowns. Also tossed a touchdown in that win against Liberty in the opening round. And finally, Eric Copeland for A.B. Miller. These numbers are insane. 247 rushing yards, had a couple touchdowns. Touchdown on defense. The guy did everything for the Rebels in that huge win. And we're going to hear from Andrew Amosa, the head coach for A.B. Miller, in just a moment here on the Inland Sports Show. But before we leave you in this segment, let's take a look at the Big Boost Play of the Week. Look who's back. Jonathan Marshall back from an injury for the Kaiser Cats, and he absolutely trucks this Dominguez defender. We got a couple camera angles. Look at that one right there. Runs him right over and goes in for the touchdown. Jonathan Marshall with the score, and that would be big time because Kaiser would win 17-14 on the road at Dominguez in Compton to advance in the Division 9 playoffs. So they advance to the quarterfinals. They will take on Los Osos, and Jonathan Marshall running over that defender. That is the Big Boost Play of the Week. Goodness. All right, that'll lead us into our first commercial break of the night here on the show. When we come back, it's our interview with Andrew Amosa, the head football coach for the A.B. Miller Rebels. That's next on the Inland Sports Show.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kids Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken.
Girls, here are 5 lies society tells you about strength training. Number 1, you're going to get buff. That's lies. It's genetically impossible. Number 2, muscles are masculine. Wrong. Muscles are empowering. Number 3, you're going to gain weight. That's false. Lean muscle burns body fat. Number 4, muscles make you bulky. Not at all. For girls, you can expect more muscle tone and definition. Number 5, you don't need to strength train. The biggest lie of all. Strength training helps you build confidence, makes you more healthy, and improves your athletic performance. If you want to know more about the benefits of strength training for girls, check out this month's blog at www.boosttrainingsystems.com. Boost Man.
Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
Welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody, as we continue to break down the CIF Southern Section football quarterfinals. One of the biggest games in the area. It's a rematch. What's not to love with A.B. Miller hosting San Bernardino, league rivals in the D13 quarters. Join us here on the show. He is the head coach of the Rebels, Andrew Amosa. Coach Amosa, listen, first off, congrats on a great season. Dude, look at those red shades, man. You must be feeling good.
Blenders, same brand that Prime Time wears.
Oh, Coach Prime. Okay, that makes more sense. That's awesome. Well, Coach, listen, obviously a couple weeks ago, you beat the Cardinals by 2 touchdowns. You're going to see them again in the quarterfinals. I know it's tough to beat the same team twice in one season, but how do you, going into this matchup, what do you think are the keys to victory against San Bernardino?
You know, I think first off with their triple option, you know, you got to make sure our defense guys stay to their keys and play assignment football.
Well, Coach,
and I think as far as on offense, we guys just keep doing what worked against them the first time and probably add some stuff in there to keep moving the ball on them.
Coach, is it fun to see the same team twice in one season, or when you saw the brackets come out, you're like, oh man, I think we're going to see the Cardinals in the second round?
You know, looking at the brackets, I already knew that we're going to see somebody in my league. Because last year, I'm not sure if you remember, we played Rubidoux the first round.
Yeah.
And we saw them also in the our league play, and they were able to get us the first time, and the second time we came out on top.
Well, Coach, we do our Inland Sports All-Stars each week, and I asked you, do you have a guy that really stood out for you? And you sent me Eric Copeland's stats, and they were ridiculous. I mean, the guy did everything. I mean, offense, defense, and not just did it. I mean, he did it really well. I know you got some big-time players on your team, but what has specifically Eric Copeland meant to this team on both sides of the football?
You know, honestly, he didn't play the first couple games for us. So he was injured a little bit. He's big time for us on offense. We have three guys on offense who all have close to 800 yards of rushing. And he has, I think, close to 800, and he's been big on for us. He starts both ways on offense and defense. He's on all special teams as well. Big time player. Yeah,
the stats you sent me running the football and what he did on defense, it was insane. Coach, you guys dropped 65 on Grace Brethren in the opening round of the playoffs. Do you feel like that was the best game that the Rebels have played this season? I know you gave up 50, but scoring 65, I mean, the offense was clicking. I mean, do you feel like the team is playing really good football right now, or do you feel like, man, there's still a lot of areas we need to get cleaned up?
Well, if you look at 50 points, it does look bad. We couldn't stop them at first, and our defense was, I won't say out of sync a little bit, but they came together in the fourth quarter, and really, honestly, in the second half, we actually gave the touchdown to them in the second half. So our defense came through in the second half.
So, Coach, like right now, second week of the playoffs, do you feel like the team is much improved, much better than maybe even going back to 5-6 weeks ago?
Yes, we've been getting better every week. Every week from preseason, we're 2-3. League play was 4-1. Every week we've been having a better week every time. Our guys have been gelling, been knowing assignments on both sides of the ball. I feel like we're rolling right now.
What's practice been like this week? As we mentioned, going up against San Bernardino, obviously very familiar with a league rival. But when you look at the Division 13 bracket and the matchup with San Bernardino, do you guys feel like, going into practice this week, hey, why not us? Like, why can't we string together and stack up a couple wins and try to make a run to that championship game? Because you guys, like you said, you're playing good football at the best time of the year in the playoffs.
Yes, exactly. Our practices have been very sound this week. Our guys, we have 24 seniors this year, and they're holding everyone accountable this year as far as being there at practice, being on time. And our guys, they're just loving being out there right now. We're playing good football. And all starts with practice right now.
All right, Coach, finally, again, I like to say, without giving away all your secrets, I like to preface this question with this, but what do you think are the keys to beating San Bernardino on Friday night for a second time this season and trying to advance to the semifinals?
The way our kids have been at practice, the way we've been playing, scoring 65 points, I really like our odds against San Bernardino this week.
Well, Coach, you're the coolest coach out there, man. Look at those blenders, just rocking.
Try to be.
Coach Amosa, listen, I really appreciate the time. I know this is a crazy week, obviously, because you guys are still in the hunt for a CIF title with a big game coming up. So I do appreciate the time. Best of luck on Friday night, and hopefully you guys have a good week of practice to prepare for the Cardinals again.
All right, appreciate you. Thanks for having me on the show.
You got it. That is Coach Amosa from A.B. Miller. The revolution continues for the Rebels as they have advanced to the quarterfinals, taking on their league rival Cardinal City. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Inland Sports Show, and we come back. More high school football as we break down the quarterfinals, but also kind of look ahead to potential CIF semifinal matchups. That's next on the Inland Sports Show.
Hey guys, this is Jason at Ken Sporting Goods. We're almost to 1,000 Instagram followers. Tell your friends, like us, come down and see us. Thank you so much for your loyalty.
Hey, what's up, guys? Look who it is. It's Coach Bass, the Boost Man here at Boost Performance Training. My name is Pep Fernandez. We've got another gridiron question for you guys out there. And Coach, we're continuing the series. We started it last time on some of the worst things parents can do to stunt the growth of the athlete in their lives. And of course, they don't want to do that. They're not doing it on purpose. We talked about the worst thing you could do on the last episode, so go check out that video. What's the next one, Coach?
Yeah, Pep, it's definitely too much expectation for other people to help their kids. Look, there are a lot of great coaches out there who can bring real value to your kids' athletic development, but you got to understand that only the student athletes can walk the path. You know, they're the ones that have to put the work in, go to class, and perform on the field. You know, it always kills me to see parents who don't empower their kids with the tenacity to get things done. Instead, they accept the idea that someone else can do it for them. You know, and this is far from the truth. And it's not to say that parents shouldn't invest or rely on coaches who can help with their kids' athletic development. You know, parents should try their best to invest in qualities that can be measured, because this removes all ambiguity in terms of what that coach has actually done for their child, and parents can see real growth. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you check in for the next Gridiron, where we talk about what you parents can do to help with your child's athletic development.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Ken Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Rialto, right off the 210 freeway at Ayala Drive. Eat more chicken.
What is up? Welcome back to your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show. Big thanks to Coach Amosa at AB Miller. We talked to the Hemet Bulldogs as well. Very excited about some great matchups coming up in the CIF Southern Section quarterfinals. To help me break it down, Coach Agno, the assistant head coach for the Aquinas Falcons. Coach, I want to jump right into it, and I want to hit you with a real heavy question right off the bat. Will the Marvels be good when it's released this week? Because I'm hoping Marvel is going to bounce back, and we're going to have some good movies or something to be excited about with Marvel right now.
Man, I really hope so. It's not the hard question I thought you were going to ask, but I really, I really hope so. I'm a fan of all the stuff they make. It's all about entertainment, and I'm hearing some good stuff about it. So
I hope so. And listen, I'm kind of dodging the question, but here we go. I had you guys penciled in the finals. I was predicting an Aquinas versus, I don't know, take your pick, San Jacinto or Orange Vista championship game in Division 5. You guys lost on the road at Foothill. What happened in that game? You feel like if you guys had another crack at Foothill, it might be a different outcome in that game?
I'm obviously hindsight's 2020. I'm an alumni. I've been coaching there for a long time, so I have us penciled in for the finals every year, just because that's my confidence in the program and our guys. We picked a really bad night to play a pretty bad football game and made a lot of mistakes, and just mistakes that you can't make. Number one at all in football, and number two against a really good team in Foothill and in the playoffs. So just didn't play well enough to win that night. So hats off to them. They're a really good team, and discipline, and their O-line did a really good job.
All right, Coach, before we move on and talk about some of these quarterfinal games, you've got a lot of guys at Aquinas that will be back next year. So I know it's very early to start predicting what next year might look like, but are you excited about what the Falcons might look like in 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, anytime you bring back a starting quarterback and you're starting running back like JoJo and a guy like Champ Brown, who's going to be a sophomore for us next year, and bring back a lot of our offensive linemen, Sunita Kalavi and Mills, Asiata and TJ. And so bring a lot of these guys and a lot of young guys that are coming up. Marcus McGilvery, he's only a sophomore. So, we're excited about next year and hopefully those guys, start putting in the work soon.
All right, Coach, let's dive right into the brackets. Let's start in Division 5 because that's where you guys were. On the opposite side of the bracket, San Jacinto is taking on Orange Vista this week. I love that matchup. I think they're both loaded with a lot of talent, two great head coaches in that game. I don't know if you're prepared to make predictions, but how do you kind of see that matchup between Orange Vista and the Jack?
I think they're really similar teams. I think if you look at San Jack's trending, they got the quarterback transfer in late, and that's kind of changed the dynamic of their team. They're a lot more like they were last year, having that added element, back there in the backfield. Obviously Dylan Gresham is one of the best players in California, and then you flip to Orange Vista, and they have dudes seems like all over the place, and starts with Sire Gaines, obviously, and their O-line and D-line get after it. So. And I think that's a tough one, man. I don't know. I mean, obviously, they're going to have to control Dylan, keep him from making some explosive plays. But, it's hard to pick against a CIF champ, man. So I'm probably going to have to go with San Jack in that one if I was going to make a prediction. But Orange Vista is, tough. And I really like, their coach and the way they play. And, I'm excited to follow it.
Yeah, it's a hard game to predict because you're right. This San Jacinto team is not the same San Jacinto team that we saw a couple weeks ago. So it's hard to say what they are right now with Jalen Patterson now in the mix. Let me ask you about Division 3 now, because we got a couple Citrus Belt League schools. We got Cajon and Citrus Valley. If they both won in the quarterfinals, they'd meet again in the semis. But first things first, they got to win this week. You saw Cajon up close and personal. And I know you probably follow the Blackhawks from afar. What do you think of both of these teams and their chances of advancing past the quarterfinals?
Yeah, I think, obviously both teams are really talented from top to bottom. Obviously seeing Cajon, like you said, up close and personal, they're loaded with talent. The O-line's big. And I think they finally, in the last few weeks, I think they've kind of found their identity. They're sticking with Evan at quarterback. And, they have, Jared Rennick's been coming on a lot and making some big plays. And seeing Isaiah Hawley out there playing receiver, which I think is a great move for him. And he's out there making plays the last couple of weeks. So, obviously very explosive, the two running backs, I think, Rivers and Sly, those two guys are tough kids and run hard. So, I think they got a good chance against a really tough St. Bonaventure team, who plays a physical brand of football, but, and you got the Chapman kids on defense who are studs, and they're just loaded with talent. So, and then you look at Citrus, and, I think that, it started last year in the playoffs, they kind of broke through that, the monkey on their back by beating Cajon in the playoffs, and that carried into this season. And they got some really good wins. Obviously they beat Cajon, they beat Beaumont, and anytime you go down to the Lou House and beat Lusinger, I told Kurt the other day, so I lost like 5 years of life in 2 games against those guys. So, but like I said, they're talented from top to bottom, well coached. Their O-line's really good, and Mikey Counts, that guy affects the game in all 3 phases. I think he leads the team in interceptions. I've seen that kid run like 25 kickoffs back for touchdowns, I feel like, in the last 4 years. So Jordan Harris, another one, I think he's their leading receiver. And then getting Dawson Martinez this year, I think gave them that different element once he became eligible. Having him as a capable runner back there, it changes the dynamic. And, the Barrios brothers, I remember Ricky Barrios when he was a little guy running around these Redlands fields, and he's been a stud since back then. So 2 really well coached teams, and I think they both have pretty tough matchups this week. Cajon, again, St. Bonaventure's a physical team that likes to run the ball, beat Oak Hills, which is a really good win for them. And I think, who else did they beat? They had a couple other good wins. Obviously they beat Etowanda. You start playing the matchup game. They beat Etowanda, who beat Cajon. I don't know if you can always look at that too much, but and then Citrus playing San Juan Hills. I don't know. I think their best win is against St. Francis probably, but they're super talented. Obviously they got the Robinson brothers from Long Beach Poly, and the quarterback Timmy Herr's really good. They have some big kids on defense. So it's going to be a really good game. I think, as long as if Citrus can control the explosive plays, and they're used to playing against really talented receivers, right? Playing against Cajon and playing against Beaumont in the CBL. So I think if they can not give up any explosive plays, to Jason Robinson, I think that, they have a really good chance to win the game.
Coach Agno, it's kind of funny. You bring up all these teams, and I'm like, oh, yeah, Aquinas played Lusinger. Oh, they played St. Francis. Oh, yeah, I remember when they what was the other one you just brought up? San Juan Hills. You played San Juan Hills. I think it was like a CIF SoCal championship game. I'm like, all these teams you've ran into in the last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's, Citrus is kind of rolling right now. I feel really good about that game, especially them playing at home. I might actually take my son out there and go check it out. So we'll see. My nephew, Jordan Harris, he's out there. So I went to school with his dad. And so probably go out there and watch that game. And then, Cajon's another long trip. But one of those games that if they win, now they set themselves up with, a shot at redemption against Citrus Valley. And, everyone will be talking about that next week.
Mm-hmm. Cajon would be home for that game if that actually comes to fruition. Coach, I do want to ask you about Division I in Centennial in a moment, but just real quick, just to take a quick detour. You guys were a league champion. You brought up Citrus Valley. They were a league champion, but you guys go on the road in the first round. I know this playoff format, it is not perfect, and there's a lot of people complaining about it. But don't you think there should be at least a little bit more value put on winning a league title? At least start the playoffs out at home or something. Am I wrong on that?
No, I think it's really tough, and I'm not going to complain. It is what it is. It's a system. We ended up with a road game as a league champ. It is what it is. I think Foothill was tied for their league championship anyway. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but I do think that there has to be some type of human element added to the format. I think you've seen less blowouts in the first couple rounds, the last couple of years, which is great, more competitive equity. But I think a few things, need to happen. I think using Cal Preps to create the divisions is a really good idea. But then I think there needs to be some type of human element where CIF gets involved and reseeds the brackets based off of league finish. And they kind of just need to add a few, there needs to be, again, some more human. The only human element right now is, where do we draw the line at Division I? And, if they would have drawn it at 16, which at the end of the day, I get it. It's Bosco Mater Dei, but at the end of the day, we all got to win 4 games to win a championship. And, if the bottom team in Division I at 16 has to get better to win, then that's something they have to figure out, So I think everybody should play 16 games, or it's move the top 4 out into an open division like San Diego does, and then start Division I with number 5. But this year, if they would have cut it at 16, you would have had a team like Damien based off of the format. A team like Damien, who's 8-2, would have been out of the playoffs, which is totally ridiculous. So I think, some type of element where you can, if an at-large becomes the number 1 seed in the next division, that there's some type of human element where you can just bump them down to the next seed to add to make sure an automatic qualifier is the number 1 seed. And there shouldn't be any league champs on the road. If there's only 8 league champs, if there's 8 or less league champs, they should all be, at home. I think, the other thing is the at-large stuff. You have a phenomenal team like Chino Hills who beat three playoff teams, Roosevelt, who's in one of the toughest leagues in America, and Notre Dame Sherman Oaks, who's in another, probably the second or third toughest league in California, didn't get in the playoffs, and not to talk bad on them, but you got 2-8 Charter Oak in the playoffs, and I kind of have a problem with that, unless you're an automatic qualifier under 500, I don't think you should be in the playoffs, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with everything you just said. I think more value should be put on winning a league title, and also we need that human element. I mean, we know Roosevelt's a really good football team and deserves to be somewhere in the playoffs. So I think you can't just look at simply the numbers and be like, well, there's no room for them. They're not good enough. Well, they're good enough. Let's find room for them if they're not an automatic qualifier. So I agree with all that, Coach. Let's end with Division I here.
Yeah.
Listen, I know most people, including myself, we want to put Centennial automatically in the semifinals against either Bosco or Mater Dei. This year it'd be Bosco. But last year they lost in the quarters. They lost to Mission Viejo. This year they got Orange Lutheran. Can the Huskies beat Orange Lutheran and set up that battle with St. John Bosco, who is actually the number 1 seed in Division I this season?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, one thing I'm never going to bet against, and that's Coach Logan in the playoffs. And, obviously Orange Lutheran is super talented as well. And they have a really good team, and they're battle tested. but so is Centennial, right? Centennial went on the road, played Bishop Gorman, and they have some tough games. They played Mater Dei already, so I think at the end of the day, I think I'm gonna stick with Coach Logan and the Inland Empire on this one for sure. And they set up a nice little game with St. John Bosco in the second round.
And Coach, at the bottom half of that Division I bracket, man, I'm trying to remember. I think you guys played J. Sarah, right, in non-league play. J. Sarah's got Mater Dei on the other side.
We did, yeah. I think J. Sarah kept it close for a little bit. Mater Dei. There's been times this year where I watched Mater Dei a little bit, and I feel like at times they struggled offensively to kind of find their rhythm and get going. They have so much talent. It's like almost like, is there too much talent? Are there too many mouths to feed sometimes, and which could be a problem. And J. Sarah's, again, they have Bo Butters, the quarterback, who's really good, and or Butters, whatever his, Butter Tollefson or whatever his name is, right? He's a quarterback, really good, and they're well coached. And I think they, again, where Mater Dei kind of takes over these games is down in the trenches, and I think it'll be too much. And I think honestly everybody's excited to see what a Mater Dei Sierra Canyon game might look like.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of Division I because Centennial actually played Mater Dei pretty tough in that season opener. It was a fairly close game, and then we all assumed Mater Dei was the number 1 team in the nation, and then Bosco shut them out like by 4 touchdowns. So I'm not sure what to make of it, but I'm like you, Coach Logan and the Huskies. I hope they make a run. I hope they get to the finals and play for a championship. Coach Agno, one last question: where are you? There's all these trophies and jerseys and stuff.
I'm in the Redlands Junior All-American equipment room here. My son's we have a playoff game this weekend against Norco. So, before I say anything else, I guess we lost a kid this week in our chapter, Devin Santiago, one of our junior peewees, tragically passed away. So, we had a vigil here tonight before practice, and just if you're out there and you have some type of faith, that if you could just say a prayer for Devin and his family, and everyone here is hurting over that, and we're trying to keep these kids' minds focused back on football and what this is all about. And I think it's a good lesson for them to learn at a young age. But it kind of refocuses you and reminds you what's important, especially with youth sports where some of that stuff gets lost.
Mm-hmm. Well, Coach Agno, I really appreciate the time. Blessings to you and your team, and we'll definitely be praying for you guys. Good luck against Norco this weekend in the playoffs. Really appreciate the time, and we got to do this again, man. It's been way too long to make this happen.
Yeah, I love it, man. Anytime, man. You're my guy.
All right, that's Coach Agno from Aquinas. Appreciate the time helping me break down the quarterfinals here on the Inland Sports Show. We'll take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Coach Fowler for the Patriot Warriors. They got a big one against Riverside Poly coming up in the D11 quarters. That's next on the Inland Sports Show.
Here's a message for all you female athletes. Did you know that participating in strength training has positive effects on your mental health? It can reduce stress, improve self-esteem, and, no pun intended, boost your self-confidence. It also provides a sense of empowerment and control of your body and abilities. No matter what type of athlete you are, the benefits of strength training go far beyond sports, as it can mentally and physically change your life. To learn more about the benefits of strength training for your well-being, check out any of our blogs at www.boosttrainingsystems.com. Your boy, Boostman.
Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Nelson Orthodontics. We make braces. The greatness of the Raiders is back. The silver and black, they change their head coach. They make a change at quarterback, and they go out and thump the New York Giants 30-6 in Antonio Pierce's debut as the interim head coach of the silver and black. Yes, let's talk some college foosball over the weekend. Man, the Washington Huskies still in the hunt for the college football playoff as they rout USC 52-42. USC, man, it was all bad. USC drops out of the AP top 25.
Inland Sports. And a big thanks to Coach Agno from Aquinas helping me break down the CIF Southern Section quarterfinals. Another one of those great games, and it'll be live on Riverside TV. It's Riverside Poly at Patriot. I had a chance to interview head coach Chris Fowler of the Warriors to talk about the matchup, talk about his team this season. Man, they've beaten some good teams to get to this point, and even in the River Valley League, they had some ups and downs. In fact, they almost beat Norta Vista, your league champion. So they've had some good moments this year. They're trying to keep it going against the Bears in the D11 quarters. Here's Chris Fowler, the head coach of the Patriot Warriors.
Guys are true Warriors. We've done a great job of putting this team together and making sure that these kids know that it's 48 minutes. You know, we're not going to give an inch, and, you know, it's taken 47 and a half minutes to win some of these games. So they know, and I think one of the true attributes is last year we lost to Hillcrest on the last play of the game, and because of that, we didn't make the playoffs. So the kids, you know, who played on that team still have that in their mind, like, hey, we have to play this out. We got to make sure that we play every second until the clock ticks down. So, you know, and they have this year. I think we've lost all total of our games by 15 points. So, you know, those 4 losses by 15, you know, it's a pretty good season.
When you saw the Division 11 brackets come out, when I saw it, I was like, man, this thing's wide open. Like, who knows? One of these teams is going to make a deep run. When you saw the brackets, you know, was the message to your team, why not us? Like, hey, it could be us in the finals. We can make this run.
You know, my message to the team was one game at a time. You know, we're looking at Los Altos last week. That was it. You know, what comes up in May, but, you know, we're looking at Los Altos. Now this week, it's Riverside Poly. You know, we get through this game, then we'll look at the next opponent. I mean, whoever steps in front of us is what we're going to do. But I'm just grateful that, you know, our River Valley foes got in and Ramona and Hillcrest got through. And, you know, there's 2 of us still survived in it. So I'm hopeful for that. And hopefully I don't have to play Ramona again. But if it comes down to it at the finals, hey, me and Mush, hey, we'll be all right.
Hey, us local football fans would love that, to see a River Valley League rematch in that championship game.
All right, it's Patriot versus Riverside Poly on Riverside TV this coming Friday. In fact, there's 2 games on Riverside TV. Poly against Patriot. We've also got Ramona taking on Palmdale. The great Jeff Gorham, the Big Jeezy, and Ghazal Hassan will be on the call, I believe, on the Patriot versus Riverside Poly game. They'll be on one of them, but I believe they're going to be on the Poly versus Patriot game. You can see the complete interview with Coach Fowler on the Riverside TV Coach's Perspective with Jeff Gorham, the second best show on TV. Sorry, Jeff. All right, finally here, let's take a look at the Boost Top 25 poll. Jeff's probably laughing right now. Centennial still at number 1. In fact, there's not a lot of movement right now this late in the season. We'll probably do this for another week, maybe 2 at the most, depending on how many teams advance to the semifinals and finals, of course. But the biggest movers and shakers right now, Orange Vista and San Jacinto moving on up. San Jac in the top 10, I think for the first time this season. I have to go back and look at week 0, but I think this is the first time they're in the top 10 this season. The Jack comes in at number 9. On the other side of the bracket, Eisenhower climbed all the way up to number 14, and you can see down the list, Vista del Lago back in the top 25. They come in at number 24. Then there's a couple Sunkist League schools, Sunbelt League, Sunkist, Kaiser, Harupa Hills, and Summit. And so not a lot of our local teams in those higher divisions still playing for CIF Southern Section titles. We're talking about Centennial in 1, of course, Marietta Valley in 2, the CBL schools in Division 3, Citrus Valley and Cajon, Division 5, San Jacinto and Orange Vista. So some of those top divisions, we've only got a handful of local teams still in the hunt now in the quarterfinals. All right, let's see. That's it. Big thanks to Coach Agno from Aquinas. We had Coach Amosa from A.B. Miller, the Hemet Bulldogs, of course. And it is another big week of local high school football, the quarterfinal round. Very excited about it. Make sure you watch Riverside TV for some live coverage. And, of course, the Friday night pep rally live at 11 p.m. on Riverside TV. We'll break down all of the quarterfinal games and also preview the semifinals. Well, a big thanks from everyone here at the Inland Sports Show. Johnny Nunez, our director behind the scenes here at Team Vision TV 16. My name is Pep Fernandez. God bless you guys. Stay safe out there. And we'll see you next time on your favorite show, number 1, the Inland Sports Show. We'll be right back. We'll see you next time.